another foundering car, and you can see the average fuel consumption, 6.3 liters per 100 kilometers, and also the average range that is still remaining at this moment.
Bij de eerste afrit. Neem daarna de tweede links.
So this is another foundering car, and today we are talking about hardships and what we can learn from them. So an example of a hardship or a hurdle that you have to take is, for example, what we now face as entrepreneurs, fathers, husbands, men, but also of course a female view as well. The thing is, I'm a man, so I place it from my perspective. Now there is a depression, so a recession that goes on and on will result in a depression. And you might say the depression is not yet here, and you are right, but it is going
Volg de weg 2 kilometer.
towards that direction, and that was something that I'm implying. Well, now why will it go to that direction? Because all the things will reinforce themselves, or the other things that are involved. So for example, gas prices are high at this moment, but there's already a serious recession, and those will add up. Why? Because people need more money to sustain their living standards, or part of that living standards, and just survive. So that will imply that the loan cost, the salary costs will go up, and thereby an additional recession will be placed on top of that, because now the loan cost also needs to be taken into consideration again. And also, if you look at all the other things happening, they are communicating with each other. So if one thing goes wrong, this also has an effect on all the other things. Such as in life, if something goes wrong with your spouse or your child, it also will have an impact on the rest of the family and you. So that being said, there are some things that are now at least holding us down to a degree, or limiting our possibilities. But on the other side, there are also
Ga
opportunities.
verderop rechtsaf en volg de A2.
And opportunities, or a bigger force, can make great things. An example is a diamond. Diamonds are developed under constant pressure, but it takes quite a long time. Same with pearls.
Sla na
Pearls are
400
developed
meter af naar rechts en volg de A2.
as a constant irritation. You have an animal that lives in a shell, and then there is placed a little bit sand or something else is there that it cannot be removed, a little stone, and then that animal makes a smooth layer around it to cover it so that it doesn't have pointy things. But by adding and
Sla
adding
hier af naar rechts.
smooth layers, you will get a pearl. So back to the topic. If we are facing adversaries, it can force us to grow. And why is that? Why cannot we grow when everything is going well? Well, we still can grow when everything is going well, but a lot of people need a little bit of push. And when things are going wrong, there is a lot more pressure. Pressure to grow and to help you get better and grow out of the misery,
Volg de weg
if there is
61
misery,
kilometer.
or to keep on moving forward, especially if you have drive but you see that everything is going well. Then perhaps you might say, okay, this is well enough for me. And the comfort is a thing that people are seeking, and comfort is oftentimes not the best thing for growth. Why is that? If you're comfortable at a certain level, also you see this with older bugs, being a rabbit or whatever, if they already have grown comfortable, they might like food and relaxation a lot more than they like to produce. In the case of a rabbit, to produce new rabbits. And that's something that the eagerness can wane off, and with hardship, oftentimes people will become mean again And not stating that you need to be mean, but it is an expression. You will be a lot more eager, a go-getter. And that's the thing that you could embrace and then grow from. And another thing is that you could say, okay, yeah, but the condition for growth and this, that reason, therefore I cannot grow. And you might be right. It might be harder to grow in harsh conditions that are not favorable than it is to grow in a perfect condition, where you get all the water and soil that you need to grow your plant in. But on the other hand, if you keep whining that why you can't, and you might be right why it would be hard, you will never grow and become better. Whereas if you are under harsh condition but still able to grow even just a little bit, this will also stimulate your mind and your eagerness, and therefore you can become a better person yourself and keep expanding. You have something that is stimulating instead of depressing you, which is a good thing, of course, especially in an environment that has quite a lot of depressing things pushing downwards on people. So please consider it. Even if you're facing hard times, there's also an opportunity to grow. And I do recommend, and I did recommend in my earlier videos, when things are going great, make the difference. And if you do so, then if things are not going that great, you might not be in that extremely stressful situation. But the time was not enough. Also for me, the time was not enough. So we need to keep going, and we are not there. We are far from it. But this constant growth will help you and will inspire yourself. You will inspire yourself by growing, but also you will inspire your environment, your children, your spouse, your friends, your family. And together we have a bigger chance of making it than alone. And everyone needs to take their own responsibility, their own ownership of what they can do, and seek to opportunity what they can do, instead of saying, no, I cannot. Yeah, I want to do it, but I simply can't. This is not the way. This is not the way, my brothers. Look for opportunities to make it happen, regardless of the drawbacks, regardless of the unfavorable conditions. Try to grow. If it's one direction or the other, that's not that important. But try to grow and show that you are a stronger person than you was the day before, and keep growing. Become the best version of yourself, either in business, family, friendship, relationships, but especially yourself. Even if you don't have any of that, you can grow for yourself, and you will know it. You will know it in your heart. You will know it when you look into the mirror. That's what's important. Founder in Car, out. So another Founder in Car. This video is about the evolution of my taste in colors of car. I started with black because I really liked all black type of look. So Suzuki Swift GTI in black. I also had a Honda Civic VTI 1.8 in black with a pearl effect. It was very nice, pretty car. Pearl flakes to the paint coat. So in some direction it would really look purple in the sunlight. And then I had more vibrant colors like blue, red, yellow, 2 times yellow, 2 times red, no 3 times red. And then I went to the grey colors. So I like the vibrant colors because they really stand out and they give a sporty tint. Especially yellow really makes me happy every time I look at it. And it is also very eye-popping. So for example, I had a yellow Tecma. The Tecma is a very low and small car, so it's good that you are visible. And I also had an all-yellow Ignis Sport, Suzuki Ignis Sport, which was quite a cubey type of car, very funny. And the other reds were also Ignis Sports, but also the Austin Syrian 1.3 VTI, 102 horsepower-ish. But the thing is, with red and yellow you draw a lot of attention. Red is also an aggressive color, so people in traffic will react more aggressively to a red car and also to a yellow car, in my opinion, than they do to a grey car or a black car. So then I went from black to, instead of going back to black, I went to grey. I also really like the blue color. I mentioned it's very short, but only had one color. And then I went to grey, and grey is a very nice color. And why is that? It's just a blend as what, so it does not draw attention, which can be a good thing, especially if you need to drive a little bit speedier over distances, or other reasons could be there. But the most important factor for grey cars being a great color for me is that you don't see dirt on them that easily. So even if they are not washed very regularly, they still look presentable. That's a good thing, especially if you like driving cars more than just cleaning them all the time. The same with Harleys. I don't like Harleys in all the chrome because I'm not a chromophile. And, I don't like to be just always working on the motorcycle. I just want to ride it and enjoy it. So if I have to clean it, of course, but not all the time, and have to shoe polish it every time. I don't like that. So back to the topic, I really like grey. And now, so I had grey cars too, and then I went back to black again, being the Tesla Model S, because I thought it looked very distinct in the black color. Also, you could have it in white and red. I think those colors are also very beautiful. White I wasn't ready for at that time because I thought, it will show all the dirt. But in general, I come back to this later. That's the reason I did not opt for white, which is also a nice color. Red is the best color on the Tesla Model S in my opinion. The Tesla Model S, especially the dual engine one, so that it was quite a speedy car, and I did not want to draw too much attention. So it's nice in my opinion to have stealth speed, and that everyone is seeing speed, and that you really envision it, and that will help you to drive speedily without drawing too much attention, in my opinion. So I went for black, and I really liked it. And then I got another red, but that was a loaner car, so to say, so an in-between car. I bought it, of course, but I also sold it again. And there was a red Igo, so that would be my third red car. But that was not my choice to call it, so it just was there, and I could get it and have it as an in-between type of car. Very reliable little city type of car, which is quite a hoot to drive, especially because it's such different than the Tesla Model S. And I thought also because it's such a big step backwards again, that it would help for this car that I now have. Suzuki Sport Hybrid ZC23S, which I bought in all white. And why is that? All white came with a pearl color. And as I mentioned, I was into the white, but I chose the black for the Tesla Model S. But closer study gave some benefits for the white over the black. And why is that? You see on black and white both quite a lot of dirt, but on white, in my opinion, now with closer study, less than on black, which is a funny thing. Also, there was a black color, but it did not have the pearl effect that is white Swiss Sport did have, and I really liked it. Pearl white, I really liked it. It's again a throwback to what I had in the Civic. And white is an additional benefit. Is contrary to black cars, it will reflect sunlight. So instead of just always getting all the heat in, you will have something to keep your car cooler. So you need to have less reliance on airco. Also good if you drive indoors, which I do quite a lot of time. And also the Suzuki Sport has a good airco system, but it's not in the back. So if you also have children and dogs in the back, it's good that's also cool. And the white car is easier to spot, also if there's something wrong with your lighting system, than for example a black car. But still it does not draw that attention. It's quite a neutral type of color, which I like a lot. And the last thing is really what I like about white Japanese cars is what Honda did with the championship white type of cars, Type Rs, etc. It was a standard color also for the NSX Type R, Integra Type R, and this really has expanded this. And this is also a Japanese car, the Suzuki Sport. And that was something to take into consideration as well. And then my latest edition was also predominantly white, but also has black, because I really like that contrast. It's a two-tone car. It's the Abarth 595C MTA Turismo. And why do I really like that? It's something special. It is just a 500 really reworked with Abarth, with also Abarth logos and all the other things on it. But also it comes in two colors, and why would I not take that? Of course I could take a monocolor Abarth, and there are even more like that, but I really searched for that two colors, and I really like the contrast between the black and white. Also my wife has a black BMW 330e, and then it looked like a little bit like a love baby between the Suzuki Swift Sport Hybrid, which is all white, and the all black 330e BMW. And so it's layered with black on top, and it also goes very well with your roof because it has a black roof, retractable, so you have a convertible feeling. So that's all one color, which I really like. So therefore the black is top, and the white also gives a very nice crisp contrast between the black and the white, and there's a red line in between, which I really like. So I think it's very tasteful. And with that type of car, the black and the white, it's not screaming extremely, but it shows you is something special, and I really like it. And also because the Abarth is a little bit of an X-shaped car. It's a Fiat 500, it's really a little bit of an X-shaped car, and it has all types of benefits, namely quite a lot of headroom, especially also in the back. So if you want to drive with your children, also with the roof closed, this is quite doable. I can sit behind myself in Abarth, and I can manage. And I'm 1 meter 88 centimeters, so quite a big guy. So that's perfect. But also because of the egg type of shape with the black roof line, so the black half, you will visually decrease a little bit of that egg shape and make it a little bit more chunky at the bottom, where it's also quite wide, a little bit less top heavy visually. So I hope this helps, and perhaps you will find some nice pointers out of this. Foundering car, out! So another foundering car, and people that know me and look at my videos know that I'm a driving enthusiast and car enthusiast, also motorcycle enthusiast. And what they also ask me, what is the thing you don't like about driving? And the most important thing that I don't like about driving is traffic jams. So traffic jam can offer some opportunity if you want to eat something, and you could anticipate, of course. Also, oftentimes if I have to do a route and I know that it will have a lot of traffic jams, I try to go earlier or later to just avoid them or minimize them. So that's one tip that I could give you. And the other thing is I try to anticipate. So for example, if the left is going fast, I'll stay on the left, and if I see a gap on the right, I'll go to the right side to just keep the momentum going. So that's one of the things that I try to do. But the other thing I don't really like is traffic controls in the way that they have like a trajectory for like 10 kilometers or 50 kilometers that you have to drive and maintain the same speed all the time. I really don't like that. But there are some benefits now. And why is that? Because sometimes you are just in a conversation, you might drive a little bit more spirited, and then you might go over it. Whereas if you have stationary cameras, you will see them earlier, but to keep maintaining the slower speed over a longer period of time is not that easy all the time, especially if you are also working from your car and telephoning, calling. You might get a little bit carried away and drive a little bit harder than you should be doing. But the technology is here to help us. So there are two things that could help you. You could have your cruise control set. I have cruise control on the Suzuki Swift Sport Hybrid. I don't have it on the Abarth, which is a pity. But the Suzuki Sport Hybrid also has another very nifty feature which I like a lot more even than the cruise control. I will come back to that later. That's the limit. So you just limit the car to the maximum speed that you can drive. And why is it better than cruise control? Cruise control also maintains the speeds and will brake then, in this case with the Suzuki Sport, it will also brake when there's someone in front of you. Whereas the limit, you can just release the gas altogether and it doesn't maintain the speed. It's only topping you off that you cannot exceed the speed. So that gives me a more natural feel. So of course cruise control is even easier because it will brake also for itself. But I like to be more involved. Therefore also I like to have a manual car at this moment and to go to the gears manually, but also it will save on the brakes because you can more anticipate instead of just let the computer decide, okay, we'll keep going at it. Well, you see that there's already an occlusion forming and you could better lift off the gas what you can do with the limit function. And for traffic jams, that's the main reason that I went for a motorcycle license. And why is that? I had quite a short travel at that time in Limburg to the Maastricht region, but there was always traffic jams, and now it is a little bit better because they removed a lot of they had lights on the freeway. Only part of it that had lights on the freeway that just caused a lot of traffic jam. Also because a lot of people travel to Maastricht, of course, and the roads were just too old to hold all that traffic. So I went for a motorcycle license. And why is that? Because with a motorcycle you're allowed, and you can, because it is just diminutive in width, to weave through traffic. And by doing so you will not stop. Of course you might not be going very fast, but there's a difference between standing still and then driving 5 kilometers an hour and then standing still again, and then you, as compared to driving 20 kilometers or 25 kilometers an hour on average between the cars and don't have to stop. Unless some people are not paying attention or not being considerate, or they don't like you as a motorcycle driver to keep moving forward while they are stuck. There can always be all kind of reasons why people are acting in a stupid way. There's now a motorcycle weaving through. BMW R1200 GS is one of the most popular motorcycles because they're sitting quite high and have a good overview, and they still are very comfortable. And the maintenance is very easy because they have a cardan type of axle instead of chain to lubricate and to maintain. So I hope that helped. And then the things that I really enjoy about driving a back road, windy back road, with nice turns, some hairpins, some elevations and some downwards. Just a nice drive and also nice scenery. It doesn't always have to be the drive. Also, if you go to a beautiful place or a city which, like the city in Thorn in Limburg, they have all these cobblestones, they're all these white houses, a very nice atmosphere. That's also perfect. But there are many regions, also in Zealand, in the Netherlands, Zealand region. There's such nice roads. They have elevated roads, which they call dike roads. And they just give you an elevation, but they are so nice because there's so little traffic and you can look so far to the distance. And then if you're driving over a field where they also have tulips, for example, that's so perfect. Now it was beeping because it anticipated that there could be an accident because people were too close in front of each other and then braking hard. That's what I was talking about. That was not a cruise control, but just giving you an impression. Hope this helps. Foundering car out. So another foundering car, and today we'll discuss my preferences by comparing technologies such as cruise control, adaptive cruise control and the limit function. And we'll tell you what I like the most and why. So first off, what is it? So limit function is very easy. It just limits maximum speed that you can drive, so if you keep pressing the accelerator it will not go faster. Then you have cruise control, which has the benefit that It's just pointed at a certain type of speed and will maintain that. So if you want to brake, you have to brake yourself. By braking, you will stop the cruise control, and you can also accelerate, even though you have cruise control set at a certain speed, not to exceed. If you put down the accelerator, you have the benefit that you can still accelerate it, and then when you drop off the accelerator, it will again drop back to that speed. And then you have adaptive cruise control, which is the same as cruise control, but it will look for you and will then brake if it needs to, and then accelerate again once there is another opportunity to accelerate again. So for example, if someone in the traffic is weaving in front of you, it will brake to keep the distance at a certain level. And once that driving obstruction is then removed and goes back to the right lane again, it will accelerate again to the speed that you set it to. So on average, I like the limit function the most. Why? Because then you can brake by just releasing the accelerator pedal, and then it will cut back to a certain speed. So it feels more natural, and you will not exceed the maximum speed that you set it to, for example, when you're driving a certain distance and you don't want to be ticketed, of course. And some trajectories, they have controls, and so you don't want to exceed that. And that is a very good thing. Also, if you are driving in different countries and you don't know for sure, you don't want to if you have very nice scenery, it could be that it triggers you that you're looking at that and then don't mind the speed that much. Then this could be very helpful. Benefit of adaptive cruise control is that it will do all the work for you, and if you also have lane keep assist, it will almost virtually drive itself for a certain period of time. And this can be beneficial as well. If you, for example, need to do something, then it's good that the car is looking out for you as well, at an additional level. The normal cruise control, oftentimes I like this more than the adaptive one. And why is that? Because normal cruise control will just maintain the speed, and will close also the gap if someone weaves in front of you, as I mentioned, and then you can just turn off the cruise control if you want to. Or sometimes the person weaving in front of you is still closing that gap, and then it will go out to the right lane again, so you can pass and you don't have to brake all the time. So that was also a good functionality to have. I think I had it on the normal cruise control. I think I had on the Prius. I also had a Prius. Very effective car. It's not a driving type of car, but very effective and very roomy. And because of tax rules in the Netherlands, I will explain another time. But also I had it on the Tesla Model S. I really liked it, and then I went for the package to have the self-driving opportunity incorporated, and then it upgrades itself to adaptive cruise control, which I found not that nice. Also because the Tesla, if it was on cruise control and it saw something, it thought it saw something. Something like a white piece of cardboard on the road. When you're driving into a tunnel, then he would identify it as a car or an object or whatever, and would hit the brakes very hard. That was very uneasy, because also the traffic in the back is then halted, which you don't like, of course. So I did not really like the adaptive cruise control, and the self-driving also I did not like that much about the Tesla Model S because of those factors. I think if it goes well, it is very nice feature, but in my opinion it was more of a gimmick, and quite a costly gimmick at that, compared to the things that are offering you a lot of the same functionality, and also you had to keep your hands on the steering wheel all the time. So it did not give you that much additional freedom. And of course there are laws, and I understand all this, and safety. But now, for example, in the Suzuki Swift Sport, I have adaptive cruise control as an option. I have the limit as an option. The limit was not there as an option in the Tesla Model S. You could just limit the car all the way, but then you have to go to this big tablet type of functionality, which is not that easy. You have to just hitting a button as you can do in the Suzuki Swift Sport. And that limit function in the Tesla Model S was more that, for example, if you want to let someone drive, you also had an option that you could activate if someone has to park your car. A valid function, then you just the power and the speed is limited. But that was not what I really liked. But now in this Suzuki Swift Sport Hybrid, I do have cruise control, which is adaptive. No, not a choice to have regular cruise control, which I would like. And it has a limit function, and those are very good. And also has lane keep assist, so it will just keep between the lanes, so the lines of the road. So it will just keep your lane, and even it does so through bends, which is quite impressive. So you have almost all the functionality that you have in the Tesla Model S, and still have to keep your hands on the steering wheel, of course, like in the Tesla Model S as well. But for a fraction of the price, and it's all in. So that's a good thing. Found a car? Out. So another found a car, and this is more of a personal one. It retains topics that are close to being a father, being a single father, being married again, and having a fantastic wife that also tries to manage it, because the children are in both worlds, with their mom, with their dad, and now in a new situation with their dad, and also the view of your children, of course, my children. So being a father is a great gift, in my opinion, and just when you go to that phase, you will feel something that's so deep, and you will be triggered to be very protective. In my opinion, I was. Also, when my firstborn was ill, or someone dropped her and she had to be checked all the time, I went out every time to check on her, and I would not sleep tight. I would, every little signal I would look, because you are worried, and that you don't want them to have brain injury for life, so you would check their responses. And with children this is even more important than with adults. And also when they were crying, there was also a fault. You don't have to get out of your bed all the time when they're crying, because you will just enable that behavior. But yeah, it's my firstborn, so I had to learn of course some things as well. And you will also worry a lot. With my secondborn, it appeared that there was an intoxication, so he had to the labor had to be induced a little bit more rapid than it would normally, and the full duration of the pregnancy could not be achieved, because there was a danger for the child and also for his mother. And then you are going to take steps to mitigate the risk, of course. And this was also a good thing. And then you see your child coming into the world quite yellow, but then you're worried as much as you can be, because of course the doctors will tell you everything seems to be fine. That is relieving, but you want it to be really fine, and to check on that, of course. But everything was fine, and I have two very healthy and nice children. And then things happen. Someone decides that you're not are going to be together anymore, and then of course you will manage, and also feel relieved. I felt relieved, because I did what I could at that time to improve the marriage, but it was draining. It was not a good thing for me, and also to be out of a negative situation is a good thing for me personally. I'm the type of guy that never gives up, and that's also sometimes your biggest strength, and I really see this as strength. And I really salute to you if you're a similar type of person. I salute you, my brother. Especially as a father, I think this is very important, but it's also a downfall. Why is that? Because you will keep going even though the situation is very, very negative. And then if someone else decides that they want to go another way, of course like failure because you wanted to maintain it, even though it was a very hardship. It was a one-sided deal for me. But you also wanted to have this family and this ideal circumstance for the children as well. And every time that you could add to that and help them grow, this will be beneficial, even if that would occur on a later phase. But then you're a single dad, and that was on one hand very good for me because I was out of that negative, but I was very worried also because at that time I had all the reason and the rights to be with my children, but it was not, someone was trying to make it impossible, or as least accommodating and possible as it could be, without any rights. But that's what happened. And then you go to the divorce court and you get get the rights reinstalled again. They were never taken away, but of course it helps when a judge rules upon it, and if they would continue to do that, then there are penalties, so that helps perhaps, and that reinstates also the bonding with your children. But there is some damage. Not only that the parents are going away, but also the damage was there done because the relationship and the time and the interaction was just halted, one-sided by one person, but it had effect. That's really tearing your father heart apart, of course, if something like that happens. But it did. Okay, so then you're a single dad and you're managing. Of course, things are hard, but you manage, and that you have this time with your children without all that negativity was a blessing. And I also have very, very caring parents. My mother, my dad, they really helped. Also made this a very pleasant time also for the children. Also have a nice other family which always was there, a positive influence. Also my brother and sister-in-law, so that was very nice. Then my dad died very young age. It had a huge impact on the children, but even bigger impact on me, because children can be very, very sad, and it breaks your father heart, and the other time, like snap of the finger, they can be very joyful again. That's also a good thing. It helps you also to see it from a different perspective, and really warms your heart how they love and in the childish ways have such great wisdom to cope with things. So it was also a teacher for me, not only a lesson and not only how I wanted to show them this life lesson and to help them to really grasp it and make the best of it, but also it helped me. And then I got a relationship with my wife. My mother was still there. And there's a different dynamics into the game. And the children really love my wife, but of course then if she also becomes really my wife, she comes to live with us, then the dynamics differ a little bit more. And also there can be good things but also bad things. There's a new dynamic, a new group that needs to be formed, and of course everyone wants to make it happen, but they also are developing. Children are also developing, then they hit puberty, etc., etc. So that's an interesting dynamic. And then my mother died, also the grandma of the children. Again, a very huge impact. Also for yourself, if you're a father and you have your parents also in the game, and they can play the granddad, grandmom. This is a very, very big thing, and a real gem that you should cherish. Also very good for the children to have those additional role models there, and they did their part, but now their part is played. And because we believe that God will awaken the dead and reinstall life in person, and then we can grow to being perfect. in a paradise system, this is of course very nice, but it's not there yet. So it's something that you can look forward to and can stimulate you and see, and also the children. And my wife, she also has lost her grandparents, for example, which we are really looking forward to meet again. But that needs still to be done, and it's not there yet. So that's the thing as well. That's it's an interesting dynamic. And then you manage as only as a dad and his wife, which is also a very good plus mother to our children, and my beautiful daughter and beautiful son that are, regardless of all the hardship that they had, they have a very beautiful heart, and they are just dealing with life, and life is not easy at this moment. If you look in the class of my daughter, a lot of girls are not only into boys, which can be quite a hurdle at that age already, because life is going into a very fast pace, but also into girls, and there are boys and girls that identify themselves as something different, and there's also a lot of violence, things that come on to them at that young age, and also what is expected from them from society is very hard, especially for boys. And why is that? Because the educational system in the past was more directed at a universal team, and now it's more and more directed at getting girls to a higher level, which I think is a good thing, that the girls can achieve higher level. And now you see that from the higher educations, most of them are girls, but it's also detrimental for the boys, because the way they are taught is not natural for boys or men. So it's really good that you also talk to your boy, to your son, and try to help them sustain themselves and keep also the manly parts alive, and also help them mitigate life and the educational system that's primed a little bit against them. So that's a short burst of being a father, a new husband, and also being a single dad. And I hope it helps some of you. Founder in Car, out. So good afternoon, another Founder in Car, and today we'll discuss, is it feasible that in this period you can get a salary rise? And my short answer, so this is the period that there's recession, almost 20% in the Netherlands compared to the year before, and I think it is feasible that you can get a rise out of your salaries, just to maintain the costs, and also your employer normally has additional costs that he has to put onto its clients as well. But I do think that if you have not made substantial growth compared to the year before, you cannot demand that 20%. So it could very well be that instead of the 20%, you will be sitting somewhere between 0 and 20%, so approximately 10% should be very feasible to attain. And also, of course, it depends on what you're wanting, what your needs are, and also how you like your job. Because, of course, you might put additional strain on your employer, because, of course, as mentioned, he can put additional costs on his clients because everything is more expensive. But sometimes to maintain its relationship with clients, he might also have to improvise and compromise, and that could also very well be the case for you. If you made substantial growth, then it could be, depending on the branch that you're in, even 30 to 40% rise, so about 20% depreciation of value because of recession, as I mentioned. But the other thing is that you also have your growth then, and if you are in a branch that really needs staff, this could be a chance for you. But of course, everything depends on the location of your expertise and also the situation where you're sitting. So I'm not saying no, I'm saying yes, but I think you should have a real plan and also a real study if this is the case in your specific situation. Hope this helps. Founder in Car out. Ciao! Another Founder in Car, and today we will discuss the best value for 3 branches and all new. One being best value for money in terms of space. Second will be best value for money in terms of hot hatch, and third will be the best value for money for real executive performance. So starting with the first, I think you will be best off with a Dacia Logan MCV for value for money. Dacia is a value brand, and with the Logan MCV you have a station wagon that does not weigh that much and is very economical to buy, maintain, and also the depreciation, if it's not a lot to begin with, is also leveled. So that would be made possible, I think about 23,000 euros. You would be quite set on the baseline Logan from Dacia. This is all the Netherlands. I think for a hot hatch I would steer you towards Suzuki Swift Sport Hybrid, the one I'm also driving, so go figure. So I put my money where my mouth is, also there. It would be about 27,000 euros. And that gives you access to a hot hatch which is almost full option, and that is also quite easily tunable with a lot of Rowentry as well if you don't go that route. So that's a real goal that I would want to direct you towards. And there are other hot hatches, for example a GTI, if you can get your hands on one, which is similar priced but doesn't have all the features, so all the specs, not is heavier, less powerful, is a 3-cylinder, doesn't have disc brakes all round, doesn't have real supportive bucket seats and all the other stuff. So that's it, done. Then the third one, if you want real executive performance, I would try to opt you towards Tesla Model S, long range, so that's 2 engines, and acceleration 0 to 100 of a McLaren F1 of the yesteryear. So it gives you an indication of very good performance, and is about 90,000 euros, somewhat like that. And the benefit if you're an entrepreneur and you buy it on your company is that you also have only the normal cost and the B2B, as we say in the Netherlands, which is value added tax, which you can then get returned to you. So that's a big benefit, because in all the other cars that I mentioned, there's also a BPM, and that's a luxury tax, so that you are not able to get back from the taxing institute if you are an entrepreneur. So please also take that into consideration, and which would be in this case about 60,000 euros that you can get in return. And for all the other ones, the value added tax has a less percentage of the total price. So it's not completely gone, but it's less percentage. Hope this helps. Founder in Car, out! So this is not a Founder in Car. This is entitled for entrepreneurs. So if you are an entrepreneur and you have 2 cars, both to your name, and there's this Netherlands situation, and you don't have someone else driving your cars because they also have their own car, or they have not passed the age. For example, my children are still teenagers, so not able to drive, to have a driving license, or having a driving license in this case. Then you are able to have only, as we call it, you have to pay additional tax for usage, for private use on one car, and this would be the most expensive one, which is quite a good thing to take into consideration, that you don't have to pay for both cars, and also reasonable, because you can only drive privately or business like one car at a time, and you cannot divide yourself into 2 beings. So that's a small tip that might be helpful for you. Hope it helps. Founder in Car, out. This is not a Founder in Car.
today we will discuss my opinion on plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. So you have normally ICE-powered internal combustion engines, so regular diesel, gasoline or natural gas-powered cars, something that you put fuel in or gas in and it propels itself. And then you have electric cars that are going on electricity. Sometimes there is something else like hydrogen, but we do a bypass there. So a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle sits in between those two. So one side the ICE, on the other one the fully electric engine vehicles. And that plug-in hybrid electric vehicle has some benefits and drawbacks, which I will discuss. So some of the drawbacks could be that it's added complexities because it has both electric powertrains and also that of a normal internal combustion engine, and because it's a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, also you need more battery because you are able to put fuel into it, for example gasoline for the normal engine, but also you're able to put electricity into it with a cord for the electric engine. So they have a bigger battery than, for example, a normal hybrid, like a Prius, a regular Prius. Then I'm driving now also a hybrid, but this is a soft hybrid system. It's 48 volt. They call it a mild hybrid, so this is still dominated by the internal combustion engine, and the hybridization and the electric engine is only there to support it. It's not so much a standalone electricity propulsion system, which is the case with the normal hybrids, like for example Prius. Okay. So added complexity and also added weight, which will result that you have a lower cornering speed and a more sluggish feel going to a corner. Not so much the acceleration, because in the acceleration also the electric engine will help you and that gives you instant torque, so that's not a big deal. It might be, especially if you want to use this on a track, that your brakes will fade hard because they have to stop so much more weight all the time. So those are the drawbacks. The benefits are that you are plenty. So one of the benefits is that you have the best of both worlds. You can still, for the longer run, use the gasoline propulsion, so you have fast charging. You can just put new fuel into it and go again for 600 kilometers or something like that. And also for the short bursts, you have the electric engine. Also in winter time, if you have to do a short trip, you won't have to warm up the internal combustion engine because you can do it all on the electric engine. And there's also the big benefit that you have the characteristics of the higher RPM, the top end that a gasoline powered engine, for example, has, and the low end grunt of an electric engine, both combined. And oftentimes there are also tax advantages. So for example in the Netherlands you have additional weight, so the road tax is higher than a regular internal combustion engine, but then they halve it because you are a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, which is good. And still below the line you have a good gain to be had. Other advantage is that you have very good fuel consumption on average, and also your brakes will, in regular driving, suffer not so much. So I mentioned in track driving they will suffer a lot more because this is really straining the brakes, and then you have to close the speed differences all the time on the track. But in regular driving, if you just release the accelerator, you don't have to brake because you can brake on the electric engine and then put additional electricity into your batteries, which would otherwise be wasted. So a big gain to be made. And there are other benefits. If you oftentimes, because for example my wife has a BMW 330e and it has comparable performance and a 330i, so that's a normal gasoline powered engine, and they have also a similar engine, but it's a little bit detuned in the E, so the plug-in hybrid, just to make the gap not too big. But if you go for a tune, you can stop this detune and also have the gains. Whereas with the 330i, so the normal ICE engine, you don't have that additional gains. You just get the gains from the tune, not from the restriction, because there was no restriction to begin with. But this can also be a benefit there, that oftentimes in this plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, especially with the turbocharged the ICE engines in there, they are detuned because the electric engine offers quite a good performance on itself, so they don't have to strain it that much, and that is a good thing if you like tuning cars. Another thing to consider is that sometimes you have benefits that you could park where you could not park with your ICE engine, because you can also use the spots that have a charging point, so are there for electric engines and electrically powered vehicles, which your vehicle could also classify as. You're not completely dependent on that, but you could of course make a case why you could also park there. So just to give you some insights, hope this helps. Determine for yourself. If you're going for a car that's also on track days, I would try to steer you away from a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. If you want a car that's very practical and can be used on the roads, in normal traffic, this might be a very good performance benefit. And the biggest gain could be made that because of especially in the Netherlands, you have the luxury taxes which are dependent on the fuel consumption, and because the electrification will dramatically decrease fuel consumption, at least on paper, you can have a lot less luxury tax, and that could give you a performance bargain compared to the non-electrified cars that have similar performance. So please also keep that in mind if you're looking into this. Have a great day. Founder in Car out. So another founder in car, and more of the entrepreneurial side, if you're teaching young ones or those that want to transfer from their normal job or their school into an entrepreneurial role, it's very important that you inspire people. So oftentimes also in your business you're looking at key performance indicators, KPIs as they call them, but a key performance indicator also for your staff or for those that you want to inspire by teaching them something. Keep them inspired, keep them motivated, give them the bigger story, show them why you do all those efforts, and by doing so you will increase the quality of what you can offer both to your clients but also to your employees, those that you teach, your students, and also your friends. Keep the inspiration there. Inspiration will get you through a lot of things. It's the same like attitude. If you have a certain attitude or you have built character, this will get you through the heavy stuff. And in all kinds of business you will have downfalls. You will have tremendous efforts that you need to take to get on top of this. And then if you have the inspiration, you are inspired, you will go through it. It's the same route that you have to take, but it will feel so much lighter and you will have so much more chance of reaching that state, and that's key. So instead of key performance indicators, keep people inspired. Hope this helped. Founder in Car out. So another founder in car. Today we will discuss, I'm driving Suzuki Share Sport Hybrid ZC33S, but what is the best Suzuki on sale in the Netherlands at this time? So this could also be the same situation for you, and the top contenders would be the RAV4 clone, that's more of a Toyota. They also have a Corolla wagon type of clone, that's also more of a Toyota rebadge. So I'm not going into that. I will stick to the pure Suzukis. And then you have the Ignis at the bottom, then you have the Swift, the one that I'm driving, and the Vitara, and then also the S-Cross, but that's in a new setting at this moment. So I will stick to the Vitara, which is also offering a lot more room than the S-Cross and has similar engines, as top level than the Suzuki Swift Sport, not the Suzuki Swift and Ignis. It depends on the budget. If you want to have a very special individual type of car that also looks very special, I would say go with the Ignis. It's a bottom line, it's not that expensive, it's very light, it has a roof rack standard on the car. You can also get it with 4-wheel drive if that's something that you want. You can get it as an automatic, you can get it as a manual, and it doesn't have a turbocharged engine, but it is feisty enough for naturally aspirated with a mild hybrid system. So also quite frugal, light. If you want something more sporty, then I would opt you towards the Swift. It could be the regular 1.2 that has a similar engine as found in the Ignis, and is also a little bit lighter than the Suzuki Swift Sport hybrids. But if you can spare the dough, spare the money, I would say go with the Suzuki Swift Sport hybrid. It's full options, so you get a lot of specs there for your money. It also has a turbocharged engine, which will really respond if you want to put additional money in to further optimize the performance with an engine tune, for example. This could be very beneficial to you. And it has disc brakes all around. It's just a very good package, hard to beat. Also my hot hatch recommendation at this time. Best of all for your money, best bang for your buck. And if you want room, the Vitara is very, very nice. I think the Vitara offers extreme amount of room for a price that's still defendable. If you want more room, there are the Dacias, for example, but they don't have the philosophy of Suzuki. So Suzuki has the philosophy of bringing you a very rigid chassis at a very light way, lightweight body, and they offer turbocharged engines. Also, all the models that I mentioned offer you 4-cylinder displacement, which makes it quite unique. And that's the reason why I think we should all cherish Suzuki, because they are doing something that a lot of other manufacturers are not doing, including the bigger Japanese ones like Toyota. Also, for example, the Yaris, which is comparable to the Swift, and also the new Aygo X, which is a little bit more comparable to the Ignis. They offer 3-cylinder engines instead of 4-cylinder. So this is something, if you really like that, and I do, please look into Suzuki. And they offer something that's very lightweight, very effective, very frugal in practice instead of just on paper and theory. And I think we should really cherish Suzuki. And also they offer a very good warranty, often 5 to 6 years, which is perfect. Hope this helps. Founder in car. Oh, before I stop, also the Vitara is offered with a 1.4 turbo liter engine you will find in the Suzuki Swift Sport hybrid, and it can also be gotten with all-wheel drive or just front-wheel drive, and would only add a little bit of additional weight. But if you want something in the terrain, this 4-wheel drive option are very interesting. And even the Suzuki Swift, if you're not looking into the Swift Sport, you can get them regular Swifts also as a 4-wheel drive system, a little bit like Subaru was in the past. Offer all their models also with 4-wheel drive. Hope this helps. Founder in car out. So this is another Founder in car, and today we will discuss brands that have a really nice brand image, and I think Suzuki brings you something nice because they have their own philosophy of a lightweight body, very efficient, very stiff for the weight, so quite high-tech chassis, and offering you class-leading weight, so very light for each class, so being Ignis, Swift or Vitara. Then if you want to have something very good in the hybridization, Toyota also offers very nice cars. And those cars also nowadays are not boring anymore, because the new director says no more boring cars, which is a good thing. So you might love it or hate it, but I like what Toyota is doing. They have a brave new strategy, from the Aygo X to the Yaris. Yaris is looking very sporty, even in standard form. And also I like the Corolla wagon a lot, with their power hybrids that they now have. Very nice choice, and they are even offering a sports car now with the Supra, which is the sister of the BMW Z4. Another brand with a good brand identity, in my opinion, is Dacia. It offers cars that are simple, attainable, you get a lot of bang for your buck, which is good, and they are quite simple. I also really like what Hyundai is doing, also very brave type of expression. It's not homogeneous, so it could be that some models are very different than all the others in their lineup. For example, Ioniq 5 is really different than all the other Hyundais in my opinion. Even very different to Ioniq 6, which is very close in the range. But those cars are very nice in my opinion, but they are not, it's not complete brand identity. So there are some that are really new and the other ones are more old school. But in general they have a nice identity because they are brave. If you want something that's more universal, I think also Citroën is offering very nice cars. They have their individual, they are a little bit different, a little bit crazy, and I really like their designs. They are different than the other cars, which I like. And saying that they are different, they are of course very close to Peugeot and also now Opel, which is owned by the same consortium. But they have their nice own brand identity, which I really like. So those are the most important ones that I wanted to share with you. Hope this helps. Foundry car out. The car in front of me is a Honda CR-V, CR6. And that's the other manual transmission hybrid that's based on sportiness. So it's like
Volgende 2
the
kilometer.
ancestor of the Suzuki Swift Sport hybrids. Also the hybridization is just more of a support. The difference are that CRZ from Honda is a naturally aspirated type of car, so it does not have the turbo grunt that you get from the Suzuki Swift Sport. It's also a 2+2. The Suzuki Swift Sport has 5 doors and also has 3 seating places at the back, where that has only 2 and those are only for children. The Suzuki Swift Sport you can sit also as an adult. This looks more sporty, but the Suzuki Swift Sport Hybrid is more sporty. The CRZ, on the other hand, is more of a special looking type of car, so that could be your benefit as well. If you're looking for something like that, you will be on the good side of things. And it has some hints of the old CRX, the first and second generation CRX. The first generation CRX was a coupe of the Civic, and this is a very small, nice little nimble car, which I really like. I think Honda could do a better job if they would fit a stronger engine there, but they did not. So it was a little bit in between. I think if you have a car like a Suzuki Swift Sport Hybrid, then the CRZ cannot close that gap at all. So they are from a different era, but it was one of the first hybrids that was also focused on real sporty driving position, which I really applaud. There was also an earlier hybrid, even before the Prius. Honda made
Ga verderop rechtsaf.
their inside, the first generation. So almost all people know the inside that looks a little bit like a Prius clone.
Sla na 500 meter af naar rechts. En
Which
volg
is-
de straat Mauritsweg.
Which is the second generation that was based on the Honda Jazz. But I was referring to the first generation, a really lightweight, very sleek, aerodynamic car, which also had closed wheel
Sla
gaps,
hieraf naar rechts.
at the
Verlaat
back.
daarna de rotonde bij de tweede afrit.
and which was very special. And that's also one of the ancestors, spiritual ancestors to the Honda CR-Z that I just showed you. It was also a white car, it even had golden rims, very nice type of car. Hope this short history lesson helps. Have a great day. Foundry car.